Roll Tide, everybody, and welcome back to the Bama Tailgate Show. Alabama, South Carolina, 2:30 on the road in Columbia. Big game for Alabama. I want to remind you guys that, first off, we appreciate you being here for the Bama Tailgate Show, and we want to thank you for having the #1 radio show on game days on 106.9 in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, but all of our great affiliates like Fox Sports Radio and Pensacola. Shout out to you guys. Or how about our friends at Live 95.5 in Coleman? Wherever you might be listening right now, we really appreciate it. And Roll Tide, everybody. This show is presented by Sevierville. Visit Sevierville.com.
When you head to the Smoky Mountains, it's only natural to visit Sevierville. Say it with me now. It ain't that hard. Sevierville. Give me some Finn. Your Smokies start here.
Give me some Finn. And for those of you watching on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel, it's a bass, a talking bass, that is the spokesman for Sevierville in the Smoky Mountains. Couldn't find a better spokesman. And there is our guy from On 3, best in the business, Mr. Chris Lowe. Chris, you have been super busy, and we'll get into maybe some of the stuff going on around the country, but I want to start with Alabama and South Carolina. The Crimson Tide with a really good win against Tennessee. 4 straight wins against ranked opponents without a week off. First time ever to happen in the SEC. That constitutes going to South Carolina, who's had a disappointing season compared to expectations, as a trap game.
I really thought, and I know Shane Beamer a long time, and I felt going into the season they were overrated. Not because he wouldn't be able to get a lot out of the football team, but they lost so much on defense. And I think we all are guilty, Mick, sometimes when a team has a really good quarterback or talented quarterback, or a quarterback that's being projected to be a first-round pick, like a Arch Manning, like a DJ Lagway, like a Lenore Sellers, and we don't look hard enough around them, who surrounds them, what they've got coming back on defense, what they're like in the offensive line. And I wondered about South Carolina's offensive line before the year, and that's proven to be correct because they just aren't very good up front offensively. They just aren't. And they haven't been able to protect him. They haven't been able to run the football at all. He's had a hard time, not that he's been bad, but he's had a hard time really sort of getting untracked and doing what he did last year. So this is a team that's got a lot of flaws, and yet I still think, like a lot of teams in the SEC, you can put I don't know how many in a group, they're still capable of winning a game like this at home. Bama gets a little bit of a break. This is not a night game because Williams-Brice Stadium at night is a really difficult place to play. So I think that helps the Tide that this is not a night game. But unless we see the FSU version of Alabama, which we haven't in a long time, then I don't see the Tide losing this football game. They're just a better team. They're playing with more confidence. They're playing with an edge. They've got a quarterback who's playing as well, if not better, than any quarterback in the country. And again, I think I texted with Kalen this week. The staff has done, and same with Kane Womack, the staff is done a really good job. And I know they got a lot of grief, a lot of heat. I wrote a piece after the Florida State game about what's wrong and some of the boosters. Not saying it was time or nothing outlandish like it's time to get rid of DeBoer, but hey, this is not our standard at Alabama, the way we played against Florida State or the previous year against Oklahoma or against Michigan in the bowl game. But let's give credit where credit's due, because to me, how do you assess a football coach? How his team responds. Mm-hmm. Does his team get better? Does it develop? Do you develop players? Do you develop your team? And we can say yes to all those things with Alabama, and they're playing at a really high level now.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Look, I don't think that you wrote anything that a lot of us didn't feel after that Florida State game. But at the same time, as critical as we all had to be after the lack of effort and physicality and preparedness, all that stuff, they have absolutely flipped the switch. They're playing with a ton of intensity. They're playing intelligently. They have the #1 quarterback in the country in a lot of people's minds. And if he's not, he's one of them. But they have developed Ty Simpson into this version of a Michael Penix like they had at Washington. The defense you look at the total yards and they're giving up yards, but they buckle down when it comes to playing with their backs against the goal line. I mean, think about the Xavier Brown interception. That Xavier Brown interception is one of the greatest plays in the history of the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. And on the Alabama side, I mean, in my lifetime, I put it up there with Rocky Block and Rocky Stop, right? The Terrence Coney block in 2009, and then the fumble through the end zone in 2005. It was a huge play, and it came from this defense. They outscored Tennessee 9-7 in the first half of the defense.
Yeah, I think I looked this up yesterday. I think in their last 6 games, since the FSU loss, in their last 6 games, they've only given up 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And one of those was a garbage touchdown against Wisconsin when they were up 38-7 with about 4 minutes to play. So the game was already decided. So really 3 touchdowns that defense, first-team defense, has given up in the fourth quarter the last 6 games. You win a lot of games when you do that because so many SEC games, as you know, Mick, come down to the fourth quarter.
That's right.
Can you get stops? Can you get off the field? Can you make key plays? Can you force turnovers? And Kane's defense has done that continually since the FSU loss. Listen, getting Tim Keenan back was a big deal. He is their best interior lineman. And they've lost other guys on defense to injury. But having him there has been about as valuable. It's hard to replace guys like that who's played as much football as he has, who's as big and physical and just really unmovable. They're in the middle of the defensive line. So that's played a big role in it too. And football to me, and I love baseball, I love basketball. I think football is the ultimate developmental game.
Right.
And you see players and you see teams from the first game to the last game or the first game to the middle of the season. It's a tough, violent game, and guys get better. They develop. Some don't. But the ones who do, the teams who do, and I think you're seeing that in Alabama, are the ones that play for titles. And this is not the first time. I go back to Ohio State's championship team. I guess they were at the first playoff year in 2014. They lost to a bad Virginia Tech team. I think that game was at home to start the season. They lost quarterbacks that year. I think they ended up playing their third quarterback. And they came back and won the national title. So this would not be the first time that a team played poorly in the first game or even early in the season, found itself. And again, you talk about assessing coaches, how I assess coaches. The other way is, do they adapt?
Mm-hmm.
Can they evolve? Do they self-scout well enough? Do they have less of an ego where they could say, you know what, I got to do this better. I got to change this. And whatever my message is to the team, maybe it's not getting across. So maybe I need to come at it from a different direction. And I think I saw Deontay Lawson say this week that Coach DeBoer has evolved. And people can take that how they want to. The way I take it is the guy's a smart dude. He's a good football coach, and he understood stands that coaching at Alabama is different than coaching at Fresno State or coaching at Washington. The way you coach players is different, and he's done that. His staff has done that. And kudos to Kalen, because I'm going to tell you what, when you start looking around college football at personalities and people who do things the right way and treat people the right way, you're not going to find anybody better than Kalen DeBoer. And you know what? That's off the field. But on the field, he's been able to get it done too. And I think a lot of people that have known him and have true relationship with him couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, I think well said. I think we all agree with that. No one ever – well, first off, on this channel, I mean, we've never pulled against Kalen. I mean, we want to win, but when you see the effort of that Florida State game and the way that things ended last year, the trend was going the wrong direction, and it's so competitive, man. You can't let up, and he has changed, and you can tell just by the way that he talks to the media and the things that he says where his focus is. But these are the games where Alabama took their foot off of the gas last year. This was a game at the beginning of the season where Bama didn't have their foot on the gas. So even though it's not a marquee top 25 matchup, it is a really difficult game on the road for a program that has a lot to prove. So this is another opportunity for his team. Hey, we made it through 4 teams that were ranked. We got a week off coming, but now we can go to South Carolina and we can do the things that we've been doing in the past, win this game, and all of a sudden now you've kind of answered another one of those questions.
You Kirby Smart used to always say in the SEC, you're 1 week away from being humbled.
Yeah.
And I think that statement this year started last year, but this year probably more true, probably truer than ever because of how deep this league. And listen, I know fans of the Big Ten and the ACC get tired of hearing that. So maybe a better word than deep is parity and teams that maybe aren't top 25 teams. Maybe a team on down the league wouldn't beat Indiana or wouldn't beat Ohio State or wouldn't beat Oregon the majority of the times. But on any Sunday, if they play well and you don't play your A game, there's a lot of teams in the SEC. I would say more teams in the SEC that are capable of winning than any other league in the country.
Yeah.
And to your point, you're right. South Carolina is very capable if they play well. If Sellers has his best game and they do a better job of protecting, Bama better strap it on and come play their A game. And that's why I understand the nervousness a little bit of the Alabama fan base because you did see this last year. Bama played, let's just say it, they played down to their competition sometime.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen that this year. They went on the road against, I think they're better than Missouri. I think they're a better football team. They got better personnel, but they got it done, against a team that was playing with a lot of confidence and had a lot of momentum. South Carolina's been down a little bit. Fans are restless there. So, yeah, this is a little bit different challenge for Alabama. I think getting past this one, because then you got, a bye before LSU, correct?
Yeah.
And to get some guys healthier, just to sort of catch your breath is big for Bama. Because I do think if they can get past this one, I like their chances to finish this thing out and get to the SEC championship game with a chance to be a really good chance at that point in that scenario to be a top 4 seed, get a bye, which I think is critical. Now it wasn't necessarily last year for Ohio State, but winning a bunch of games in a row, the fewer games you have to win in a row against top 12 type competition, typically the easier it's going to be. But Ohio State's another team. Now, theirs was late, but they had some hiccups, or there were some games last year where they just didn't play up to their talent level. They're ready to Ryan Day right out of town, and
right.
They get beat at home the last regular season game. Can't score. He scored 15 points in that game against Michigan, and squeezed in the playoff, and got it together and played better than anybody. So it's much more akin now to basketball, Mick, which is crazy. You just got to get in the playoff. You got to get in, which is 12 teams. At some point, it'll be 16. But you got to get in, and you got to be healthy. You got to be playing your best. It's not like it was 10 years ago. It's not like the old BCS when there were 2 spots or 4 spots in the playoffs. So teams like Bama, teams like Ohio State last year, if you can get in, then you got a shot.
That's what it's all about. Talking with Chris Lowe, guys. If you're watching, make sure that you like and subscribe to the Bama Tailgate Show, Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. We appreciate all of you guys for hanging out, whether it's with Chris or Jake Coker or Mike Johnson or Shank. Got a great lineup, and it's been a lot of fun talking Alabama football with you guys. And Daniel Moore, promo code right now is Bama Tailgate. So whether you want the Ryan Williams catch last year against Georgia, how about this year's print, the crispy screen, which was a pass to Caden Proctor, who caught the ball against the Dogs. He's also got a handoff this year. And then last game against Tennessee, Proctor threw a guy into another guy on the touchdown run. he's putting together quite a highlight reel this season. And it kind of leads me to where I wanted to ask you about was the creativity of Ryan Grubb. I think Ryan Grubb also brings a lot to the table that Alabama didn't have last year. My biggest problem with Bill O'Brien as offensive coordinator was there was so many great players and we were running such a boring offense. I felt like we lacked creativity. That is not the case this year. This guy is super creative, and it really gives defenses a lot of trouble because there's just so many things Alabama might throw at you.
Mhm. I think the team of Kalen and Ryan, those two together, because they work so well together at Washington. You mentioned Michael Penix earlier, but I think those two together, their two minds, the way they game plan, the way they put it together during the week, the way Ryan calls the game, and I think it's important to remember this is Kalen trusts him implicitly, and that's you can tell the freedom he gives him to call the game and to take, I won't say take chances, but do things in certain situations where maybe conventionally you wouldn't do them. I love, for instance, in the Georgia game, the third down pass, to start one way to come back and flip the ball to Jam Miller. And you mentioned using Proctor. Some people say, well, that's gimmicky, that's gadget, but hey, it keeps guys engaged. It's worked to this point. No, I like what Ryan's done, and everybody I talked to about him that was around that Washington program when he was there said, hey, you're getting ready to see a guy who, from down to down, possession to possession, it's hard to get any kind of scouting report on him. It's hard to get tendencies because he's willing to do just about anything, and they work that stuff. It's not like he just draws it up in the sand up there in the press box on Saturday, the booth on Saturday. These are things they work on and drill. And when you've got a quarterback, and here's the other part of that, Mick, when you've got a quarterback who's operating at the level that Ty is and playing with the confidence he is, and I don't think you can emphasize enough the confidence that the guys around him have in him. That when you've got that as a quarterback, and everybody that is, I don't care if it's your guard, if it's your H-back, if it's your receiver, they have supreme confidence that he's going to make all the right decisions. He's going to get them the football, and he's going to make winning plays. And, boy, that just oozes right now from that football team on the offensive side.
Yeah, you can see it. And, Alabama's got a ton of momentum right now. One of the undefeated teams in SEC action. Another one is Texas A&M, and I don't feel like enough people are talking about the Aggies. I mean, they struggled to beat Arkansas. Arkansas's offense, though, gave Tennessee fits as well. They did beat Notre Dame. They're one of the top teams in the country, but it still doesn't feel like people look at Texas A&M and are saying, hey, this is the team to beat in the SEC.
Man, I don't know who's the team to beat. I mean, do you? I mean, I think if you ask 10 people, if you ask 10 people right now, you might get 5 or 6 different answers. But A&M has not played a ranked team in the league. Maybe that may be one reason,
right?
They haven't gotten the love. Their teeth of their schedule is coming up, starting Saturday night. And I know people say, "Well, LSU lost to Vandy last week." Well, guess what? There are going to be some other teams that lose to Vandy this year. And
Vandy's good.
Yeah, but playing at home in Tiger Stadium, that's the game I'm going to. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see LSU win that game. Not because I don't believe in A&M. I just think, again, that's sort of where we are this year,
right,
in the SEC. But here's the but. If A&M goes in there on a Saturday night and beats LSU, then yes, at that point, I think they probably become the team to beat. I would not be at all surprised at that point if you see A&M and Alabama in the SEC championship game. But this to me is a little bit of a crossroads game for the Aggies.
Yeah.
They get this one on the road. Their quarterback, Marcel Reed, has continued to play big in big situations. And this is the thing that never changes about football. As much as the game has changed, and this is sort of vintage Mike Elko, if you're tough and blue collar and can run the ball and are able to, on defense, stop the run for the most part, then you're going to have a chance to win a lot of games. And that's sort of his DNA. It has been back before he was a head coach.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we're going to be at Coastal for the Tailgate Show this Friday at 1:00. So if you are in Orange Beach or in South Alabama, swing by, watch. It's a great viewing area. It's going to be beautiful weather. The food there is fantastic. We'll be back at the Floribama for the Iron Bowl. We'll record the show that Friday, 1 to 3 in the big tent. So for the Iron Bowl, we do it in the tent. And for South Carolina, we do it at Coastal. And Chris, you would love it, man. You'd love great food and everything else going on. All right, let's talk about some of the other stuff around the SEC. They fired the coach at Florida, Billy Napier. That to me it's just the timing of it was weird. I mean, they just beat Mississippi State, but there were rumors that he was going to get fired whether they won or lost against Mississippi State. One of my good buddies, Skip Powers, used to work there when Dan Mullen was there. You know, Skip, SID there. It's a tough place, and Dan Mullen did a pretty good job, and they got rid of him too. So what are the expectations that Florida has, and who do you think is going to get this job? Because my gut feeling's been, and you know this, that they want Lane Kiffin. I don't know why I think that. Just call it an educated gut feeling. But what do you think the search is going to look like, and what are their expectations?
I think your gut's right. I think it is Lane Kiffin. It's not Lane Kiffin and only Lane Kiffin. I think that's the thing you need to. I think we all need to understand that Scott Strickland's hired a search firm. They're going to go out. They're going to do their due diligence. I'm sure they've already started background checks and talking to people. But my information is that Lane's at the top of that list and has been, certainly among a lot of the money people. I bet you, though, 5 years ago, Scott Strickland would not have hired Lane Kiffin. In fact, I had conversations with Scott years ago where he just felt like that Lane was too much of a gamble. Lane's a different version of Lane now. Now, he's still Lane Kiffin. He's still going to be a little bit of the Eddie Haskell of the SEC. He's going to stir it up. That's sort of who he is. But I do think Lane's in a much, much better place in his life than he ever was before. And he's won. He's won at a place at Ole Miss where they haven't won like that in 50-plus years. So, I think what I want to emphasize this because fan bases get really sensitive, Mick. Ole Miss is that fan base right now. When people start talking about these things like, well, Ole Miss is a, second-tier job, or Ole Miss, would not step up financially to do what it takes to win in football or to keep up. All that's wrong. They'll pay Lane whatever he needs or wants. They've proven that they'll invest in the portal. Look at some of the guys they've been able to bring in there. That job is a good job. So if Lane leaves to go to Florida, I think there's a better chance that he would than wouldn't. It's not because of anything that Ole Miss did or didn't do. It's because he wants a different challenge, another challenge. Sees Florida as a sleeping giant, which it is. Florida is still one of the best 5 or 6 jobs in college football. The recruiting base, that state, the history, the tradition, the resources, a roster. I think whoever goes in there, that's still a really good roster right now, and you can build on it. And you also there in that state, at that school, don't have to live year to year to year in the portal. You can go out and you certainly can supplement your roster with the portal with great players, but there's no reason you can't bring in great players every year in your recruiting class in the state of Florida. So those would be some of the reasons, but money won't have anything to do with it. Lane Kiffin will not go to Florida because he's going to get an extra $2 million. That is not going to have anything to do with it. And, I think still Strickland's got to decide he's going to pull the trigger. I think there's enough donors and money people who want him to. So we'll see. I know in talking to Lane hasn't talked much at all about it to me when I was there with him last week and this is why, he really likes this football team. He thinks this football team is a playoff team. He did last year too. And he also went through the deal with Auburn a couple of years ago, and that thing spiraled out of control. The team was distracted. They didn't play well. He does not want that to happen this year. So he's not going to talk about it. I don't really think he's thinking about it. I think he's thinking about ways for this football team to finish this season out and get to the playoff. Because he told me, listen, we've got what it takes. And they lost a tough game last week to Georgia on the road, but that's still a good team. And I think he's got a good feeling that this team can finish this thing out and get to the playoff for the first time ever in Ole Miss history. I think that's what's first and foremost on his mind right now.
Right. You mentioned it when he was in the mix for Auburn. They hired Hugh Freeze. It hasn't worked out so far. Hugh Freeze just seems desperate. I mean, and look, that's just the perception that I see when you read his body language. And they've had a lot of bad luck. I thought that the call where the quarterback, I thought it was clearly a touchdown against Georgia, but you know what? They called it a fumble. And they lost again this week to Missouri. He's in the press conference talking about, be nice to get a vote of confidence from the athletic director, John Cohen, who I think is a straight up winner. I mean, I just really do. I think his patience has got to be kind of worn thin a little bit. But do you think that they regret not hiring Lane Kiffin at this point?
What is patience when it comes to college football? Is there any patience? And I'm being facetious, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to win, and Hugh has not won there. I mean, people talk about James Franklin was there for 12 years, and he did not win against the best teams on his schedule, but he still had that program in a position to play at the highest level. They were a top 10 team 5 of his last 9 years. They were
right.
a drive away from playing for the national title. So to me, that's different than saying they didn't have patience at Florida or they're not going to have patience at Auburn, because those programs have not won at any level the last few years. No, I know there's growing frustration on the Plains. Hugh's frustrated, and I think mostly because he really believes in his heart that this is a good team, a talented team that's got a chance to be a 9-win-plus team, but they just haven't done it. They haven't made winning plays when they needed to. Missed a field goal or two last week. They have gotten some bad calls to go against them, and they haven't been able to score. Their offense has just been. I mean, people say, "Well, let's make a quarterback change." Well, go back and watch that game last week. How many passes did Cam Coleman drop?
Yeah.
So it's not just the quarterback. Now, I would agree that Jackson Arnold in the tougher situations has not performed the way they'd like to see him perform. But the offense has just not played well enough for them to be a winning football team in the league. Defense has hung in there every single game.
Right.
They give them a chance in every single game. They're not that, and I hate to sound like a coach, they're not that far away. They're not getting killed. They're not getting embarrassed. They did go on the road and win at Baylor early in the season. Can they turn it around? I think they're capable of doing that. I think they're talented enough, but it's hard to say what we've seen to this point that they're going to do that, because they just have not been able to finish games and play well enough in the fourth quarter to get it done.
Hey guys, hit that QR code for Mick Nation, Avenue D, right at the bottom of the screen. We got hats, swag. We gave away tickets for the Wisconsin game. We're going to be doing that again soon, and cash prizes. And you get to pick games. It's all free, like I said, like Alabama, South Carolina, other SEC games, NFL, World Series, all that stuff. We play it all just because we do weekly winners. So we got to have some stuff to bet on to pick. And we want you to be a part of that at Avenue D, and also get in the comment section as well. So I guess the last thing for you then is, with Napier going and then James Franklin getting fired, which really surprised me, although I know the environment was ripe for it after back-to-back upsets. These huge buyouts, I just don't understand how you could fire a guy with a huge buyout and then go out and spend more money you got to pay him off, and now you got to go out and buy a new coach to replace him. It's just financially, that just seems so irresponsible to me.
That's why you have to take out a second mortgage now to buy football tickets to see Bama and Tennessee and
right.
Florida. I mean, there's money there, and I know ADs all say, well, we don't have just a pile of cash, and I don't think they do. But what's it tell you, to your point, that you can pay a guy $49 million or pay a guy $21 million? And you're right, Florida's going to have to go out now and pay someone $10, $11 million. There's money there, and look at what's the money they're getting through TV, the money that they're getting through ticket sales. I mean, to go to a marquee game, what is an Alabama-Tennessee game down in the lower bowl? What is a regular price ticket? Oh, well over $200, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be like that at Georgia, it'd be like that at Tennessee. So, and then what do you got to pay to have the right to buy those tickets?
Yeah, I know.
So the money is outrageous everywhere. Buyouts are outrageous. What you have to pay to go see a ball game now is outrageous. What football coaches are making are outrageous. Heck, what athletic directors are making is outrageous.
Yeah, right.
What coordinate? I mean, so the money has gotten so out of control, and I don't want to be that get off my lawn type of guy, Mick. But it's just the market. The market is what it is, and until the chancellor of the university, the president of the university, and the AD, as they're looking over a contract, and they're reading language, you'd hope they're reading. You hope the chancellor's reading the language in it, right? Yep. Everybody blames everybody else. What about the chancellor when you give somebody a guarantee? Signetti's contract is what, fully guaranteed?
Mm-hmm.
He just signed? Hey, that guy's done wonders for that program. But if that thing dips here in a couple of years and they have to fire him or can't fire him because he's owed $70 million, well, who's the final person to sign off on that deal?
Yeah. Yeah.
The board, the president. So they're reading the language. At some point, though, I guess somebody's got to be the first. They're going to say, no, if we lose a coach, we lose him, but we're not paying that kind of buyout money.
Right. You got to be creative with who you have. All right. Is Nick Saban going to take any of these jobs?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
It's hard to end the show with that.
You know what? I tell you need to call and ask that. Terry Saban, huh? She'll make that call. No, I think Nick's done. Nick would be, 75 next year?
Yeah.
Is that right?
He still looks good for 75, though.
Yeah, he does. And I know he still hits the golf ball pretty well. And I know that they really enjoy their life now together. And he's doing things he's never gotten to do before. You wonder with a guy like that always, though, that competitive, that competition, void, does it eat at him a little bit? I asked him that when he retired, and he said he'd have enough to do. I know he loves doing TV. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think so. I don't see one out there that he's going to jump at, unless something changes all of a sudden. But I know that's a question that everyone's going to always ask when any marquee job comes open. What if and get ready for it? If Brian Kelly gets fired at LSU or they move on, Nick's been there before. I think we could go get Nick Saban. That's coming. You realize that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, based on everybody I've talked to at this point, I do not see Nick getting back into coaching.
Is Brian Kelly safe?
No, I don't think anybody's safe anymore.
Nobody.
I mean, do you?
No, I don't.
I mean, again, what I said earlier, if he throws 75 out there this year, and I don't have it in front of me. I don't know what his buyout is. I'm sure it's big, but LSU is a. I mean, they've had their program there in the last 20 years, Mick, that 22 years, 21 years, 3 different coaches have won national titles there.
Yeah,
Nick won one, Ogeron won one, Les Miles won one. So that is a program in the last 2 decades that they have proven 3 different times to 3 different coaches that you can win at the highest possible level.
Right.
So no, Brian does not have a forever contract there.
Well, it's always great to talk to Chris Lowe. I want to remind you guys, too, that Bod Coach is my coach. It could be your coach, too. And you need to check it out at bodcoach.com/Bama. It's a work. Chris, it's helped me a lot. It's like you go on the road like I do. Bod Coach gives me daily workouts. Or I'll say, hey, I'm at home and I don't have any equipment, but I want to do this exercise or I want to do that. Keeps track of everything, gives you exercises. And it has really helped me stay in shape, even when I have a schedule where I'm all over the place. So we're brought to you by Bod Coach. A little bit more on Bod Coach. And also thank you to the people at Pearl River Resort for putting us on. We'll talk to you next week, Chris. Roll Tide.
All right, man. See you.
I may not suit up on Saturdays anymore, but I'm still in the game. In here, I call the plays, make adjustments, and lay it on the line. Want to feel that fire, that rush? Then you've got to get in the game. I used to say it in the tunnel, and I still say it now. Let's roll.
We're presented by Bod Coach, and you can tell I'm slimming up over here, and it's because of Bod Coach. This is absolutely amazing.
It's your personal trainer that is with you 24/7. So when I go to hotels or when I'm on the road, I type in, hey, look, I got equipment. This is what I have, and it'll make a workout specifically for me, what I want, what exercises I want. When I'm at home or I'm in a hotel and there's no way I can get to the gym, it'll say, hey, this is what I want to work on today, and it sends you personalized workout plans. It's really awesome. And they contacted me a few weeks ago to be a spokesman. I said, well, I want to try this. Bod Coach is fantastic. Like, I use it all the time. I mean, and if I'm telling you, man, like, it makes working out when you are on the go like me so much better. Just because I don't always know I didn't play football at Alabama. I didn't have Scott Cochran yelling, yeah, and telling me what workouts to do. So anyway, I'm going to put in the body on the YouTube all about Bod Coach. Get you guys signed up there, but tell them you heard it on Bama Tailgate.